Think of a figure cloaked in shadow, standing atop a shattered tower. The air crackles with energy as the sorcerer raises a hand, their voice echoing like a thunderclap through the void. Armies crumble at their command. The sun dims. The very fabric of reality bends to their will. These are not mere wielders of magic. They are destroyers of worlds, architects of chaos, and manipulators of fate. But here's the terrifying truth. Power like this never comes without a price. And as history has shown, the most dangerous sorcerers are not the ones who start wars, but the ones who end them and everything else with a single spell. Our first figure, a deceiver, a master of lies, whose whispers turned empires to ash. Sauron, the dark sorcerer who reshaped Middle-earth, long before he became the lidless eye that haunted the dreams of hobbits and men alike. Sauron was a Maya, a being of divine power, second only to the gods. At first he served Awale, the smith of the Valar, crafting great works of beauty and learning the secrets of creation. But Sauron's ambitions were too great for servitude. He turned to Morgoth, the first Dark Lord, and began his descent into corruption. Sauron wasn't your typical sorcerer, cackling in a dark tower and hurling fireballs. No, his power was subtler and far more dangerous. He was a master manipulator, capable of bending others to his will through lies and persuasion. When he forged the One Ring, it wasn't just a piece of jewelry. It was a tool of domination, a way to enslave the rulers of Middle-earth under his control. And yet, even after his defeat, Sauron's shadow lingers. His legacy is a world forever scarred by his ambition, a testament to how even the most brilliant minds can be consumed by their own creations. Voldemort, the dark wizard of death. If Sauron's power lay in subtlety, Voldemort's was anything but. Born Tom Riddle, he was a prodigy from the start, a wizard of extraordinary talent and ambition. But unlike Sauron, Voldemort didn't start as a servant. He always intended to rule. His chosen weapon, fear. Voldemort's journey to ultimate power began with his obsession with immortality. He feared death more than anything, and in his desperation, he turned to the darkest magic imaginable, Horcruxes. By splitting his soul into pieces and hiding them in objects, Voldemort made himself nearly unkillable. But there's a catch to immortality. Every piece of his soul he tore away made him less human. By the time he returned to power, he was more monster than man, with a snake-like visage to match. But here's the ironic part. Voldemort's obsession with power was also his greatest weakness. He couldn't fathom that someone like Harry Potter, who valued love and friendship over ambition, could defeat him. And in the end, it wasn't a grand duel or a devastating spell that ended Voldemort. It was his own arrogance. Before there was Sauron, there was Morgoth. If Sauron was a master manipulator, Morgoth was pure, unfiltered chaos. He wasn't just a sorcerer. He was the embodiment of rebellion, the first being to challenge the gods themselves. Morgoth began as Melkor, one of the most powerful of the Valar, the godlike beings who shaped the world in J.R.R. Tolkien's mythology. But Melkor was never satisfied with creation. He wanted to dominate it. When the other Valar sang the world into being, Melkor introduced discord into their harmony, twisting the song to reflect his own desires. What makes Morgoth so terrifying isn't just his raw power, it's the scale of his destruction. He corrupted entire races, creating orcs, trolls, and dragons to serve his will. He waged wars that reshaped continents, leaving scars on the very fabric of Middle-earth. Morgoth's legacy lives on in the world he scarred and the followers he corrupted, chief among them, Sauron. Together, they represent the cyclical nature of evil. No matter how many times it's defeated, it always finds a way to rise again. Yeah, when you think of Merlin, you probably imagine the wise old wizard with a long beard, guiding King Arthur and the knights of the Round Table. But here's the thing about Merlin. He wasn't always the benevolent mentor we remember. In fact, some versions of the Arthurian legend paint him as a manipulator, a puppet master, pulling the strings of history. Merlin's power wasn't in fireballs or curses, it was in foresight. He could see the future, and he used that knowledge to shape the destiny of Camelot. Sounds noble, right? Except, to Merlin, the ends always justified the means. If he needed to deceive, betray, or sacrifice to ensure the future he envisioned, so be it. Take his role in the conception of King Arthur. According to some tales, Merlin helped Uther Pendragon disguise himself as another man to deceive Igraine, Arthur's mother. The result? Arthur's birth, but also a legacy of betrayal and broken trust that would haunt Camelot for generations. Merlin's greatest danger wasn't his magic. It was his belief that he alone knew what was best for the world. His actions created heroes, but they also sowed the seeds of tragedy. And as Camelot fell to ruin, one has to wonder, did Merlin's vision fail, or was the destruction part of his plan all along? Raistlin Majere from the Dragonlance series didn't start out as a villain. In fact, he began as the underdog, a frail, sickly boy mocked for his weakness. But Raistlin's sharp mind and determination made him a force to be reckoned with. When he discovered magic, it became his escape and his obsession. Raistlin's story is one of ambition at any cost. He climbed the ranks of magical power, eventually facing the test of high sorcery, a trial that left him scarred both physically and emotionally. His golden skin and hourglass eyes were marks of his transformation, but they also symbolized the price he paid for power. From that moment, Raistlin could see the world's decay. Literally, everything he looked at appeared to be rotting, a constant reminder of mortality. But Raistlin wasn't content with being a powerful mage. He wanted more. He wanted godhood. To achieve this, he betrayed allies, manipulated his brother Caramon, and risked the fate of the world of Krynn. His ambition led him to challenge Takhisis, the Queen of Darkness herself, in a bid to take her throne. The tragedy of Raistlin lies in his brilliance and his flaws. He was one of the most powerful sorcerers in Krynn's history, but his hunger for power isolated him from everyone who cared about him. His legacy is a cautionary tale. Intelligence and talent can make you great, but unchecked ambition can make you dangerous. In Marvel's What If series, we see a version of Dr. Stephen Strange who takes a very dark path. In his universe, Strange's love, Christine Palmer, dies in a car accident, a loss that shatters him. Consumed by grief, Strange becomes obsessed with reversing her death, even if it means breaking the natural laws of time and space. Dr. Strange Supreme delves into forbidden magic, absorbing the power of mystical entities to gain the strength needed to rewrite history. He becomes a one-man magical apocalypse, growing more monstrous with every spell he casts. His transformation is gradual, each step fueled by his desperation to save Christine. But here's the kicker. No matter how much power he amasses, Christine's death remains a fixed point in time. It cannot be undone. And yet, Strange refuses to accept this. His obsession blinds him to the consequences of his actions until it's too late. In the end, Dr. Strange Supreme doesn't just fail to save Christine. He destroys his entire universe. The once heroic sorcerer is left trapped in a pocket dimension of his own making, a prisoner of his grief and ambition. His story is a haunting reminder that even the best intentions can lead to catastrophe when paired with unchecked power. What ties Merlin, Raistlin, and Dr. Strange Supreme together is their belief that they could outsmart fate. Merlin thought he could shape the future to his will. Raistlin believed he could become a god and remake the world. Dr. Strange Supreme thought he could cheat death itself. Each of them wielded immense power, but their ambitions blinded them to the cost of their actions. And that's the true danger of sorcery. It's not just about the power to reshape the world. It's about the arrogance that comes with thinking you should. These sorcerers remind us that the line between hero and villain is often just one bad decision away. Our journey begins with the Crimson King, the ultimate antagonist from Stephen King's The Dark Tower series. Known as the Lord of Discordia, this sorcerer isn't just a threat to one world, he's a threat to all worlds. The Crimson King exists to unravel the Dark Tower, the linchpin holding all of existence together. If the tower falls, so does reality. What makes the Crimson King truly terrifying is his chaotic nature. He's not just evil, he's madness personified. His power isn't limited to spells or incantations. Instead, he manipulates time, space, and probability to achieve his goals. He creates and commands minions like Randall Flagg and the Breakers, individuals tasked with destroying the beams that support the Dark Tower. The Crimson King's ultimate weapon is fear. He doesn't need to face his enemies directly because his influence spreads like a disease. He corrupts, destabilizes, and breaks his opponents long before they reach him. Even at the height of his power, he's trapped within his own dimension, a testament to the irony of sorcerers who stretch too far. And yet, despite his confinement, his schemes echo across infinite realities. The Crimson King isn't just a villain, he's an existential threat, a reminder that some ambitions are so vast they can break the universe itself. From the frozen lands of the Chronicle of Narnia comes Jadis, the White Witch. Unlike many sorcerers who rise to power, Jadis begins her story as a queen, ruling the world of Charn. But her thirst for power consumes her, leading her to unleash the deplorable word, a spell so devastating it wipes out her entire world, leaving only herself alive. When Jadis enters Narnia, she wastes no time asserting her dominance. Using her formidable magical abilities, she casts the land into a century-long winter. Under her rule, Narnia becomes a land of fear and oppression, where even the sight of spring is considered treason. What makes Jadis so dangerous isn't just her power, it's her cunning. She manipulates Edmund Pevensey, exploiting his insecurities and turning him into a pawn in her battle against Aslan. Her ability to charm and deceive is as potent as her magic, making her a double-edged threat. But here's the real kicker. Jadis isn't just a sorceress. She's a symbol of absolute tyranny, the kind of ruler who will destroy entire worlds to maintain her power. And even after her defeat, Her shadow lingers over Narnia, a reminder of how one sorcerer's ambition can reshape an entire world. In Joe Abercrombie's First Law series, Bayaz is the first of the Magi, a powerful sorcerer with a knack for manipulation. At first glance, Bayaz appears to be a wise mentor figure guiding the protagonists on their journey, but the deeper you dive into the series, the more you realize just how dangerous he truly is. Bayaz is a master of playing the long game. Unlike many sorcerers who rely on flashy displays of power, Bayaz uses his intellect and influence to control kingdoms, economies, and entire continents. He positions himself as a force for good, but his methods are anything but noble. Need to win a war? Bayaz will back you, but don't think for a second it's because he likes you. Every move he makes serves his own agenda. What sets Bayaz apart is his moral ambiguity. He's not evil in the traditional sense, but his willingness to manipulate and sacrifice others makes him a deeply unsettling character. In one instance, he burns an entire city to the ground to protect his secrets, showing that no price is too high for his ambitions. Bayaz is proof that the most dangerous sorcerers aren't always the ones throwing fireballs. Sometimes the most terrifying power is the ability to pull the strings of fate without anyone realizing you're holding them. For fans of Dungeons and Dragons, few names inspire more dread than Vecna. Originally a mortal wizard, Vecna's lust for power drove him to become a lich, a sorcerer who achieves immortality by binding their soul to a phylactery. But even immortality wasn't enough for Vecna. His ultimate goal, godhood. Vecna's path to ascension is paved with betrayal. He enslaves his followers, sacrifices his allies, and destroys anyone who stands in his way. His magical prowess is nearly unmatched, allowing him to rewrite reality, raise armies of the undead, and crush entire civilizations. What makes Vecna truly terrifying is his resilience. Even after being betrayed by his lieutenant Cause, who severs his hand and eye, Vecna survives. Those severed body parts become artifacts of immense power, sought after by adventurers and sorcerers alike. Vecna's influence stretches beyond death, making him a constant threat in the multiverse. Vecna's story is a cautionary tale of how power, once attained, is never enough. His relentless pursuit of domination turns him into a monster, both literally and figuratively. And while many sorcerers leave a legacy, Vecna leaves a curse, ensuring that his name will be feared for generations. What unites the Crimson King, Yadis, Bayaz, and Vecna is their ability to think beyond the present. They don't just seek power, they seek permanence. Whether it's breaking the multiverse, freezing a kingdom, manipulating entire civilizations, or ascending to godhood, their ambitions stretch far beyond their own lifetimes. But here's the chilling truth. These sorcerers are just reflections of humanity's darkest desires: the thirst for control, the fear of mortality, the hunger for legacy. These are the traits that drive not just fictional sorcerers, but real-world tyrants. Their stories remind us that the line between hero and villain often comes down to a single decision. What are you willing to sacrifice for power? The most dangerous sorcerers aren't the ones who summon fire or twist shadows. They're the ones who make you believe they're doing it for the right reasons. And by the time you realize the truth, it's already too late. What are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below. If you liked this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.